Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the I-5 Corridors Traffic Report. Tyson Alger here, joined by Justin Myers, and we are just days away from history, Justin.
That's right. It is playoff fever, shall we say? Dare we say? Playoff fever around Eugene, around Autzen Stadium. Weird feel. Weird feel for the game on Saturday.
So it's Thursday as we're recording this. We're up in Portland. It's raining pretty good right now.
It really is.
It's not terribly cold yet, so you're not kind of dealing with the prospect of cold and wet. But it does seem like the forecast for Saturday is gradually increasing.
Yeah, let's knock on wood that the atmospheric river just takes a little bit of a break on Saturday. Little glimmer of hope, and then it looks like it's going to be back in full force. But no, this game feels weird because on one hand, it is objectively cool, right? It is a postseason, a game that was not scheduled at the beginning of the year is now being played at Autzen Stadium. It's only happened one other time. So like one other time.
Pac-10, or for the first Pac-12.
First ever Pac-12 championship game, Oregon UCLA. That was a weird game because the Pac-12 then came in and kind of wrapped everything. Oregon in like blue Pac-12 logos everywhere. So like it was Autzen, but it wasn't. Dr. Pepper 10 was a big deal back then, and they were a huge sponsor. So a lot of Dr. Pepper 10 in the press box.
I'm thinking we'll probably have a fair amount of Dr. Pepper insignia for this one too. Don't they? Isn't Dr. Pepper still a pretty large? They always do like the throw for your scholarship.
That's right.
Like
are we gonna do that? Are we gonna have at Autzen Stadium? Are we gonna have
in the rain?
Well, it's not gonna rain, Tyson.
All right,
we've talked about this.
In the precipitation.
Are we gonna have the debate in the stands, like actual in person? Because they didn't have. I might be remembering it wrong. I don't know if they had like a throw for your scholarship at the game at Autzen. I have yet to be at another conference championship game since then. But like every year at conference championship time, it is the internet debate of all debates of would you two-hand chest pass it if it meant you could win $100,000, or should you throw it like a football and maybe lose $100,000.
So the background for this is at halftime they bring out kind of like a board, and it's you have to get a certain amount of footballs through the holes, and
big Dr. Pepper can.
I would chest pass. Like
you would chest pass?
I would right out of the gate. Like I know what I'm limited to. I can throw a baseball real well, Justin. I can slap shot well. I'm decent at racket sports. I can't throw a football. I can't throw a football to save my life, and I like money. I really do, and I like fame and notoriety. So I think I would go. Who was the NBA player who did the free throws from?
That was
Barry. Brent Barry's dad. Rick Barry.
Yeah. Rick Barry with the. Back then they called it granny style. I don't know if that is how you would refer to it anymore. What would we say, like maternal grandparent style? Like is granny still a term?
I don't know if like granny has gone like slur yet.
Okay. I mean, I think it is when you talk about a shot, but
I just remember anytime in like the early 2000s when Shaq would miss like 15 out of like 30 free throw attempts, you'd have Rick Barry going on like whatever radio show would have him be like, I could fix him in 3 minutes.
Yeah. I think I would still have to throw it like a football.
Yeah.
I think I would. I would have to throw it like a football. That being said, used to be able to throw a football. Been a minute. It's been a minute since I've actually full on thrown a football. Let alone a full-sized one, probably like a mini.
That's the thing is, like, I don't think throwing a football is like riding a bike, which I think is equal to throwing a baseball. Like, you're used to growing, like, a ball. Like that's pretty natural. Like, you don't have, like, throwing a football, like, you kind of have to, like, there's some muscle memory involved in that with with just the shape.
And there's some mechanics.
Yeah.
And a couple of times to get the spiral down.
Yeah.
So will we have that at Autzen on Saturday? We shall see. I'm not quite sure if there is. I know the friends that I will be going to the game with, and I do know my one friend, if someone is chest passing, will boo. I do know that will happen.
How successful is that friend?
Pretty successful. Mm-hmm. Fairly successful.
Did they pay their own way to college?
Bypassed college, sells a lot of stuff very successfully.
They didn't chest pass. They just huffed it downfield. And...
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay. No, I know. I respect that.
But we're going to be at a game that has massive implications. But it's this weird combo of it still has kind of a week 2 September feel. It's
21-point spread.
Yeah, 21.5 point spread.
The fan bases are being kind of too friendly with each other online.
That's what I was going to ask you.
The JMU people have been lovely and funny and self-deprecating. You don't get that.
They're just happy to be here. Yeah. Just getting an invite to the playoff, they're cool. They just want their T-shirt and their hat and their picture in front of Autzen Stadium. They just want to run out of the tunnel. And not saying I'm nervous about any of that, but it doesn't exactly scream win or go home. Right. Everything's on the line feel. It gives me, like I said, week 2 paycheck game feel.
Last night, Justin, we had round 2 of the Winterhawk Skating Center adult men's B-League beer hockey playoffs. Our team wasn't good this year. We're getting old. There's 8 teams. I believe we were the 7 seed coming into the playoffs. We had a nice upset last week. Last night, we were going in to play the top seed. They've smoked us all year. They have a bunch of 22-year-old, 23-year-old kids.
Fresh legs.
And we're a bunch of close to 40s who decide right before the game if half of us are going to show up or not. I think we had 8 guys on the bench last night. So we're being as we're showing up to the rink yesterday, we're showing up around the same time as the other team. We're making jokes with the other guys don't beat us too bad. This will be a good warm-up for you before the next round. And, we just weren't supposed to win. Then we did win last night. We beat them 5-2. Somebody scored the first goal of the game to really kind of get things going.
Really momentum setter. Tone setter, they call that.
But it went from the other team just thought we were this fun little kind of toy to play with before they go on and advance to, their bigger rounds. And then we got ahead, and then they started choking a bit, and then it got tense, and then there were some penalties, and then after the game, and they're in the handshakes, they're not making eye contact. But then we get back to our locker room, and there's 2 more games that are to be played for the other teams. But we had a stream of guys from the other teams coming into our locker room, knock, knock, knock. Hey, hell yeah, boys! Way to knock them off! Everyone was this is what the Ducks are facing.
Yeah,
because everybody wants to because they're not the actual football team is taking JMU seriously, but I think we as a whole are going 21-point spread. James Madison, I didn't know they actually had a football team until 2 weeks ago when he started paying attention to the rink. All those sorts of things. But there is a lot to lose for the Ducks in this game. It's pretty crazy the amount of everyone would be ready to just be slapping backs with James Madison after knocking off the one team that actually is heavily favored in this first round of playoff games.
I do think the massive advantage is playing at Autzen Stadium. I think that's a massive advantage because I think you and I have both been lucky enough to be there at those first round NCAA tournament games where upset starts happening.
Just neutral. It's weird. You don't know how to play off of the momentum of the crowd.
And then all of a
atmosphere.
Sudden, everybody else, like you said in your excellent adult beer league hockey analogy, right? Everybody else all of a sudden becomes fans of Western Kentucky. All of a sudden the Ohio State fans because they would rather face the 14 seed in the next round, and now the gym is turned against you.
Right.
That's not going to happen on Saturday. Also, I wonder if what happened a year ago plays into this a little bit. The fact that Oregon was the number 1 team, got into the Rose Bowl, got their bye, everything was set up, and it was over within 8 minutes. 8 minutes of game time, and it was pretty much over. I have a hunch that's going to factor into this as well. And then Third thing is, I can't remember who was talking about it, but this is the interesting thing about this game. Normally in these kind of paycheck games, they get close and they get tight because in week 2, you're looking at Oregon looking ahead to Penn State, let's say, and all of a sudden or a year ago, Oregon's in a barn burner with Boise State because you had Ohio State just kind of looming a couple of weeks later. There's no game looming. Like, Oregon will be 100% solely focused on JMU and have a massive talent advantage. With those two factors, it could get ugly.
Yeah,
and the fact that JMU's traveling across country, and it's.
I've done kind of like my series of radio interviews this week, and you kind of get to the end where they're like, all right, make a case for like if JMU wins this game, or like I just can't really do it with it. Like I don't want to sit here and like guarantee an Oregon win, but it's such a dynamic drop off in level of competition from James Madison to just about like every other team in the bracket. And I was looking at it. I believe Oregon has 58 players on their roster who are 4 stars or higher, like in their recruitment. James Madison has 2.
Yeah.
That's quite the difference,
it is.
Justin. Like 58 is almost quite larger than 2.
Well, 58 also, I mean, think about this. There's only 52 players allowed on an NFL roster. So Oregon has
a whole NFL roster
has
of
more
blue chips,
4-star blue chip players than an NFL roster is actually allowed to hold. So we may dive back into this next week, depending upon the outcome. But I have seen, and we talked about it a little bit last week, but I've seen like now the hemming and the hawing and the back and forth of like, should we have James Madison and Tulane in this bracket?
Yes,
like should these teams be here? Now the case that I heard, I think it was Dan Orlovsky made this case, and Dan Orlovsky, who went to UConn, wasn't exactly a power school in terms of
women's hoops,
men's hoops, but not exactly a football powerhouse. He made a good point, though, because I do think there is some attempt at recreating Boise State 2006. They're like, just that's got to be in everyone's mind. And then I believe it was Utah 07. When they beat Alabama, or excuse me, they beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. They beat Alabama. Trying to recreate those group of 5 schools went to the bowl game. Everybody said they don't belong, and they ended up pulling out a win. Boise State pulling out maybe one of the most historic wins in modern college football history.
Statue of Liberty, baby.
Point being, though, you look at that Boise State roster, and if we're being honest, how many of those players would still be on Boise State's roster with an open transfer portal and NIL?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Do you have, I believe it was Zembransky was the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Is Zembransky still there for 4 years, or is after his second year, it's clear that he was missed in high school and some middle-of-the-road Big 12 team needs a guy that can throw the ball, and they offer him up, about $600,000 NIL deal. He's gone. So the idea that maybe there's this chance of this Boise State or Utah back in the day magic moment, is it even really possible with the fact that you don't have like those kind of teams constructed that way anymore because they're just getting poached by the Power Four?
Do you think this is something that you kind of touched on earlier, but like, do you think those Boise State moments would have been able to happen if it wasn't on neutral bowl game site?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably not. Yeah, I don't think Boise goes into Oklahoma and beats Oklahoma. I don't think Utah. I mean, Utah did win the Sugar Bowl that year, which they went to the South and beat Alabama, but I don't think they go to Bryant-Denny Stadium. Yeah, the fact that this game is at Autzen, what happened last year, teams are constructed differently. It's just, I'm with you. I don't see any way, shape, or form, except for if the weather all of a sudden takes a turn, it becomes just an absolute slobber knocker of a game, turnovers,
right?
And that's the only way I see it happening. And even then, I think Oregon has proved this year, especially at Iowa, like they're perfectly capable of playing that kind of football. I don't know if JMU is. And I'll be honest with you. The second I watch the kickoff on Saturday will be the most JMU football I've watched this year.
Yeah,
when I watch them either kick off or return a kick for 1 second, that will be the most JMU football live I've watched this year.
I haven't watched any JMU football, but I did watch there was a bowl game on TV a couple nights ago where Troy was playing, and Troy is who JMU beat in the Sun Belt title game, I believe, to advance this thing. And it wasn't good football, Justin. And like I understand that that's the team that lost to JMU, so it's different. But I mean, just like the level of competition that these two teams have faced is kind of drastically different. And this isn't a year where like nobody's really been like banging the drum for Oregon's strength of schedule either. What I did notice, and like when JMU did beat Troy, though, was like you can make like they have a very good quarterback who's like very fast. Like Tosh Lupoy yesterday was mentioning that like I think they've clocked him at like 21 miles an hour. I still don't really know what that means. Like, is that fast? Like I'm assuming that's fast.
I mean, it sounds fast. Yeah.
But like you can make them pretty one-dimensional, and in terms of I think he had like 75 passing yards in that game, and so it's just like I don't think JMU has the talent level to like one-dimensionally beat the Ducks. Like I think that it's like one of those scenarios where you have to have like the perfect game, like when there's that big of a talent mismatch. And I don't know.
It's interesting you brought up Tosh Lupoy because he made some very favorable headlines, I think, for Oregon fans with the
over my dead body.
The over my dead body will I not finish out the season, and of course, obviously that. That makes Oregon fans' hearts just melt. It's like, oh, he really likes us. We still like it when people like us. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know what it is.
I mean, it's like the same thing when like the concert tour that's been in 65 cities in the last 40 nights comes out and goes, "Hey, Portland, love that Powell's books." Yeah.
You know,
boy, it sure is weird here.
You know, I don't say this every night. Yeah. It's like, I bet you do.
And everybody knows they do say it every night, but you eat it up anyway.
Eat it up every time. That's what we want. But you have both Will Stein and Tosh Lupoy obviously attempting to finish out their run, much like Dan Landing did before he took the job as a defensive coordinator. Maybe not for this game, but if Oregon is fortunate enough to move forward, like, is there a little bit of a worry of like how, like, not that they're not fully committed, but like, you know, they're like looking at like game film of recruits, right?
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
they're getting like DMs of like, hey, we need to get this kid an NIL deal at Cal so you can have a quarterback next year. You don't want him, I don't know, transferring to the Big Ten and winning the Heisman.
I think the benefit or like the luxury that the Ducks have is both Cal and Kentucky are at least not close to the level that Oregon's at right now. So it's not like your high level guys are necessarily going to be like Will Stein's not going to be coming in and stealing Dante Moore and getting him to transfer down to Kentucky. But yeah, I mean, like this is the crazy time of college football. Like, so you got to prepare for like 4 teams in 4 weeks, but then you're dealing with transfer portal stuff for like your new team. Like Tosh yesterday was talking about how he's basically been locking his phone in a cabinet during like Oregon working hours so it doesn't distract him from like he told his wife like, here's the 2 numbers to call if there's an emergency, but outside of that, like, I'm not touching my phone. And then he goes like straight from like Oregon hours to like essentially doing Cal hiring interviews and kind of like putting that all together. And so like that's just I know these, especially like Tosh is like the salt of the earth, like work as hard as you can, like sleep later sort of thing. But at some point, like if you're working 20 hours a day, like I don't know.
I think sometimes these coaches are wired different though.
True.
I mean, they're just at a completely different level. But I don't know. It's just something that is intriguing to me of like how, not that they would ever lose focus, but it's just, can you actually coach the same? Knowing in the back of your mind, I've got so much other stuff. Like, again, I'm not wired like a head coach. Neither are you. Thank goodness we would be real pains in the ass to be around if we were, I think. But I mean, I think we've all been there where it's like there's some big thing on the horizon, but you got to lock in and focus on this other thing. It's just another little wrinkle to throw in, but I think everybody's dealing with that though, right? I mean, I guess that's the weird thing about this playoff is not necessarily with coaches leaving, but like you mentioned the transfer portal. And while they may move the official transfer portal back, I think there was a thing a couple of days ago where Dylan Raiola at Nebraska put up an Instagram about entering the transfer portal and then deleted it. And was there a midnight deal that was done? And so as a coach, yeah, you're trying to game plan for JMU and then potentially Texas Tech. And do you continue to try to game plan? Well, maybe losing like your third string left tackle who's not so happy.
I wonder if this played at all into Lanning's decision to promote from within for the coordinator positions, because essentially you're having to like juggle like all of this stuff at once. And if you're going down this route and your current coordinators are worrying about recruiting at other schools, and then you're on like the hiring search too, like I think just having kind of that built-in stability of guys who like at least like it's not like you're having to throw together like a whole new like plan essentially too. But it's stupid. I think college football should end on the first of the year. I think the national championship should be on January 1st, and then all that stuff happens. But so that's a whole less month of TV programming for ESPN to have. So,
I mean, I know, like, I think Lanning's brought this up a couple of times, where it's like if you were to make week 0, week 1, right, that week before Labor Day, end the season. Week before Thanksgiving you do conference championships, then right into the play. Like, you can do it. Like, It is possible. And as much as I hate when people compare college football to the NFL, it is like nails on a chalkboard to me, because it is not. It's a different product. It's Saturday football versus Sunday football. I do kind of agree where it's like in the NFL, they play the regular season and then the playoffs the next week.
Right.
Like 2 teams get a bye. That's it. Like we don't need that month off. It used to be, there's finals. It's like, do we even worry about academics anymore?
I mean,
these guys are paid employees.
I mean, that was like my favorite thing about like some of Dan's press conferences last week, because Oregon just had its finals, and he's like, it was a great week it was a great time for like the guys to get away and you like really focus in on their studies and there's still 100 and whatever players on the roster. I'm sure it's important for some of them, but I'm just looking through like Instagram, and Bryce Betcher has like 10 photos of him just hunting ducks. It's like I think he had a fun week.
One last question. I'm curious your thoughts. It hasn't come up as much as I thought it might, but I'm watching Monday Night Football. Mm-hmm. Steelers beat the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. The Dolphins have benched Tua. I think is Tua better than Justin Herbert debate is now officially over.
I don't know. It's only been 6 years now. I think you really start to see the development happen in year 7.
That's really what. But now the Dolphins are benching Tua, and I think ESPN brought up a graphic because it's not like Aaron Rodgers is getting any younger, so it looked like potentially both of those teams were going to be searching for a quarterback in the draft. It was like best quarterbacks available according to Mel Kiper, and there's Dante Moore.
Yep,
sitting on that list. And for the entire year, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just an Oregon homer, but I'd never thought of like, ooh, is Dante Moore going to go to the NFL? He's never seemed like that kind of guy, like that kind of player. And then when you see it on an NFL broadcast and there's Dante Moore, Tyson Alger, is Saturday going to be Dante Moore's final game at Autzen Stadium?
That's a very good question. It's been a weird year with it, because I think when we were all coming in, I don't think any of us were ready enough for him to be good enough this year to all of a sudden have the option to be a first round pick. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we all knew the talent was there, but we just hadn't seen it. And coming off what we had seen from him at UCLA, it seemed like he had a lot of room to grow into. And then they had those first 3 games against pretty bad opponents where they were scoring touchdowns like crazy. And then you beat Penn State, which wasn't, a statistically crazy performance from him, but it was pretty clutch down the stretch, unlike the Penn State athletic director insinuates. And so after that Penn State game, it was fascinating because that's really when the Ducks kind of reached like the kind of national conversation in terms of their season. And so you got a lot of, Dante Moore's probably going to go. And then you got a lot of the kind of the experts, like actually from what I've heard in Eugene, he's got really good relationships and thinks he's, you started to get he's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
He knows that. But it seems like it's swung like a lot over the last month or two. And I think some of that is the fact that he had that month where it was a mixture of his injury, weather, or just different game plans where like he wasn't throwing for 300 yards and 6 touchdowns a game. But like I think at the end of the day is you're seeing that this isn't the strongest quarterback class that we've seen out there. And while I think Moore is far less of a polished product than we've seen with some of the past Oregon quarterbacks who have gone on to be drafted, whether it be Herbert or Nix or Gabriel, I've seen that dude make some throws this year that I haven't seen any of those other guys make.
Yeah.
Like he's just got an undeniable arm talent, and that has a lot of potential for big money. And so you're at this kind of like point where I'm sure he could make a fair amount of money if he came back to Oregon. And if Dante Moore comes back to Oregon next year, I think the Ducks are probably preseason number with everything else that's coming back too. Like there'd be a good case that they'd be preseason number 1 or number 2 next year with that experience coming back. But at the same time, one picks make really good money. Really good money,
really good opportunities. The only thing I will say is, if we look at the track record of Dante Moore, he seems like maybe one of the most self-aware quarterbacks.
Very much so.
How many quarterbacks would be a starter at UCLA and then decide no?
With his profile too.
He was the.
It was him and Arch Manning.
And Arch Manning, and I think there's a kid named Malachi Nelson who's the backup at Boise right now. Or I don't think he's at Boise anymore, but he transferred from USC to Boise and then got beat out by.
What would be the most Boise State name? Quarterback name to beat you out, like Brer.
Well, Bear Bachmeier is at BYU.
True. He's at,
But yeah, it was Arch Manning. It was Dante Moore. It was he was like, depending on where you get your recruit rankings, he was 2 or 3. So as high profile as it gets, goes to UCLA, starts at UCLA under Chip Kelly, plays okay. Not great.
Yeah,
not
like
terrible.
I feel like we've done this revisionist history where it's just like he was terrible with them, and then he came to Oregon, and all of a sudden he figured it out. Like he was fine for a true freshman on a bad team.
Yeah. Plays okay. Chip leaves. He can go anywhere, right? You think about like 5-star now with Division I, Power 4 experience. A lot of teams need quarterbacks. And kid decides to go to Oregon and sit the bench for a year because he's, as he has said, like I needed a place to develop. Like that's, for a 19-year-old, like that's absurdly self-aware.
Right.
Like I am 46. I don't know if I'm that self-aware to not take the bag somewhere else and go, I need to get a little bit better.
I mean, that's kind of what you're doing right here with the High Five Corridors traffic report, where we're putting in the reps and we're just trying to be better.
Yeah. All those years of live radio, and then I was like, you know what I needed to do? Dial it down to a podcast. That's what we needed to move it to.
And here we are on probably like episode 50 of this, and we still haven't figured out our sound issues because you can hear in my background. Sounds like we're torturing my dog. But
yeah. We kind of are, because apparently we're giving some very bad takes.
Yeah.
Last thing on this game, I guess, playoff atmosphere. I think ultimately, like, regardless of the opponent, like, I think the event is going to bring out, I think, a pretty fun atmosphere at Autzen.
Yeah.
Just for you're going to get in there. You're going to see it's going to say playoff on the field. Like, I feel like regardless of it's going to be pretty cool still.
Yeah, no, I do. Like, I gave the UO folks a call last week just to see, like, what it was like for them to put this game on, and they were like, it's just kind of like a normal home game. Like, there's going to be some different things because there's going to be college football playoff like logos and stuff on the, and basically the playoff earns all the income on the ticket sales, on advertising, on marketing. UO gets like a $3 million stipend to like cover expenses for the game, and then you kind of get your conference payouts based on how far you go, but the Oregon folks,
they still get my beer money, I'm sure.
True. Yeah. They do get to keep the concessions and the parking. But basically, Jimmy Stanton, who's like the director of comms, is like, we have a couple things up our sleeves for this game. Like we're not going to tell you quite yet. So yeah, like I think it'll be a festive, fun. I think the pregame run up to it is going to be great. First quarter is going to be great. Shout's going to be good. I think. As soon as shout hits, though, that's probably going to be...
You think fourth quarter might be a little...
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a full stadium there for the final kneel down at the end. What do you think? Do you think this is like if Oregon's up by 30 points, do you think this is a stay in the stadium and send your boys off as they go off to the Orange Bowl?
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, it's going to be dark.
People are going home.
It's going to be dark and cold.
Well,
I'll be staying in Eugene. There's going to be a lot of Portlandiers like myself who are like, I-5's going to be a mess. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Christmas is in 4 days. We don't need to see this fourth quarter. I do think it's going to be. What did we dub it a couple of months ago now? It's crazy. It feels like Labor Day was just around the corner. Hashtag shout and out.
Shouting out.
I think is what we're going to see. I think it's going to be a hashtag shout and out. Now, if it's a competitive fourth quarter, whatever JMU podcast is going to clip this, and I might look like a fool, but I doubt it.
Yeah, that's okay. Like I'm okay looking like a fool for JMU.
And for the for the clout and for the content.
It's Virginia, right?
It is Virginia. Yeah.
The Dukes.
They are the Dukes, which is a dog, apparently?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's the Dukes versus the Ducks. Not hard to write that at all.
I mean, I will say, I didn't joke, I was actually telling the truth, but like I have not watched any JMU football this year. JMU is a remarkable college football story, though. Mm-hmm. Like 4 years ago, they were FCS. Kurt Cignetti, who is now maybe the greatest coach in college football right now, active because Nick Saban retired.
But by the way, I think going into the Indiana episode, we were making a little bit of like Cignetti, Chip Kelly, Oregon comparisons.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like we hit that on the head.
I think we nailed that one 100%. Yeah. But Cignetti was obviously there 3 years ago. It was a weird thing where they were in a probationary period, and I think they were like 10-1, or 11-1, but couldn't go to a bowl game because they were still in a probationary period. And I remember Cignetti was like on College Game Day, like trying to like rally for them. And then, so this is this awesome college football success story, right? They invest in football. And then they lose their coach and like half their roster because that Indiana team last year was half of JMU's team from the year before. And so you figure, well, that's that for the Dukes. No. A year later, they're back in the college football playoff. I mean, it is an awesome college football story, which is why I think their fans, or at least the online presence, is so happy-go-lucky because they're like, yeah, we thought we lost everything a year ago when our coach left to Indiana and took half our roster, and we're back, baby.
Well, it's always crazy too, some of these FCS to FBS kind of evolution stories, because at school at Montana, especially in the 2000s, Montana won, I think it was like 8 or 9 Big Sky Conference titles in a row. They had won one national championship in the 90s. They had been to two in the 2000s. Like they were kind of a big dog in the FCS, especially when you take into account like their stadium, which is around 30,000, and there's not a lot of FCS stadiums that kind of compete with that. So there was kind of this constant question of like, should Montana move up? Like, should they go to the WAC or the Mountain West? And the case against that people in Montana would always use is like, oh, Idaho just did that, and like it hasn't gone well for Idaho, and they went from a relevant Big Sky program to one that was just getting knocked around. I think at the time they were independent too. Yeah, and like they just became irrelevant, and it was like, especially in Missoula, it's like, would you risk kind of like losing what you have here where everything shuts down on Saturdays because like your Montana Grizzlies are playing a top 25 football game? Would you risk that for going up higher? And we've seen Appalachian State make that move over the last like decade or so. We've seen JMU now make that move. And obviously I think a lot of people have wondered if like North Dakota State was ever going to do that because they won how many FCS national championships over the while. But to see like James Madison, who had won, I believe, 2 FCS national championships, including one over Montana in 2004. I don't want to talk about it. To see them like be able to kind of like do that and then have that like instant success is pretty just kind of wild to me, because I can't conceptualize the thought of like Montana saying tomorrow we're going to join the FBS, and then like 3 years later they're playing Oregon in the college football playoff. Like I just like, that's insane.
Yeah. And on top of that, you're going to lose your coach, the coach that built everything and transitioned you. Yeah. And half your roster, and you're still going to be able somehow, some way.
Like half your roster again. No,
it's a really cool story. So I know we kind of shit on JMU for a good 20 minutes of this podcast so far. I do want to throw out there, like, it's an awesome college football story. I do think they're going to get smoked on Saturday, take their participation trophy and their free T-shirt, and go home.
Can you imagine the discourse if it doesn't go well? Like it would be, this is one of the biggest upsets. It's like they'd probably be making like the biggest upset in college sports history argument, considering the opponent, location, what's on the line.
All of that.
Don't think it's going to happen.
Don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, it's definitely up there.
You want to talk some McArthur?
Let's talk McArthur. You were at McArthur, one of my favorite places, one of my absolute favorite sports venues. I was one of those people, Tyson, that was adamant that they should never leave McArthur Court. Then I got to become a snooty media member and was like, we don't even have a bathroom in the media room. We got stale popcorn.
You've become like the Comfort Plus guy when you're booking your plane tickets. Not
really
quite first class, but you.
But I do remember I was like, nope. Never leave Matt Court. This is the best. You've got such an advantage. And then about a year or two of sitting, and by the way, press row at McArthur Court during Oregon games is as good as that venue you can actually have, other than being maybe the head coach, right? It's an awesome view. You got as good of a seat as you're going to get. And I was still like, yeah, I think it's time for an upgrade. Yeah. I think we need some monitors and some TVs and some other things. And then Oregon moved to Matthew Knight Arena. And we've had plenty of discussions. I don't know if it's gone exactly to plan. It's not like it's a complete disaster, but I don't think it's exactly what Oregon fans had hoped. And I look back at McArthur Court with very fond memories. I think of countless massive moments watching games at McArthur Court. The smell of it, like, I still remember like what it smelled like to walk in. Something like a combined stale popcorn, radiator heat, and like grandma's house, all just kind of rolled into one when you walk in there.
It's almost like a little like small town Ace Hardware at E.
Exactly right. Yeah. Well, when you walk into an Ace Hardware.
Whereas like Matthew Knight's like walking into like an IKEA.
Fair enough. Yeah. It's nicer. It's easier to find stuff, but
are those Swedish meatballs?
They just call them meatballs.
Meatballs, yeah.
But now they're using it as a basketball venue again, which I'm stoked for. a handful of high school basketball games.
So it's been fascinating,
including Wes Lynn's gigantic win over South Eugene. Let's go Lions! But a handful of games at MacArthur Court.
Yeah, since the Ducks basically left MacArthur in 2011, which, by the way, it's just the whole venue's fascinating because it's like this last like vestige of like old Oregon holding on against like new Hayward Fields, like just north of it, and right next to it's like new Jane Sanders Stadium, but behind it it's like a graveyard. So it's like it's kind of like standing there like trying to like hold out between the two, and they've kind of used it as like a mixture of like kind of like a storage unit, auxiliary offices, and intramural basketball court basketball, volleyball, whatever, since 2011. And they just recently started allowing people to essentially rent it out. And so it's this group, Pure Focus Sports. They put on 2 weekends of I think they had 19 games there over the last 2 weekends, and it was just really cool. I've literally only been in the building once before, and that was like I think my first week as an Oregonian intern, because Dana Altman had just hired, I think, Kevin McKenna as one of his assistants, and they were making the transition between the two buildings. And so I've never seen a game there before. I've always just kind of heard the stories, and we've talked plenty on this podcast about like what's not working with Matthew Knight and how that's different from the experience that you had at MacArthur. But like this was my first time actually seeing hoops there, and like it was just cool. Like the building, like the first, basically all that you can occupy for hoops is the ground level. Like they still have the floors there. They have like floor level seating and kind of like that expandable bleachers that like pull out of the wall sort of thing. But the second and third decks are completely like wrapped off or like sectioned off, and the lower level I think has been, I don't know if it's been like renovated, but it's just like at least somewhat modern. But then like it's kind of like looking at like a rock wall where you can see like the archaeology like age periods. I'm probably using the wrong word there, but it's like
I think you're good.
It goes from like modern to like all of a sudden it looks 100 years old right away, and it's like the faded green of like the faded like green and yellow of like the chairs, and there's dust everywhere, and there's like old advertising like on the walls and stuff, and it was just really cool. And start talking to like a lot of people there, and obviously there's a lot of like parents that are like, oh, I used to come to games here all the time. I talked to this one guy, he was 79, and he said that like I've been like I started coming here while I was like learning how to like crawl up the stairs, and he's like, this has been home to me. And so there was a lot of people like living out the nostalgia of it. But like what I thought was kind of cool too is like there was just a bunch of high school kids playing hoop who like weren't alive when this stadium was like open, and like they didn't really give a shit. Like in the best way possible though. Like it was just like, to them it was like, this is a cool arena.
Yeah, that's about it.
Let's go ball.
And they have no idea about the shot that Aaron Brooks hit to beat UCLA when UCLA was the number one team in the country. They were not there during the absolute debacle when Kevin Love and UCLA showed up, and maybe some of the worst behavior I've ever seen from an Oregon crowd. They don't know what it was like. Oregon was playing USC. Henry Bibby was the head coach at USC, and the student section at some point realized, Tyson, that if they jump on the bleachers, it moves the basket. And they had to award USC 2 extra free throws because the basket was literally shaking in that building. Yeah, they have no idea about any of that.
Walk into the arena, and me and my photographer Isaac, like we're just kind of like looking around to just see like what sort of like rooms you can get into, because like they've turned a lot of like the 100 and 200 level like concourse and areas basically into like auxiliary offices. Yeah. And so we get up to, it was like section 114, and you open up like this hallway door, and it's basically like this office that's like built into the underside of the stands, and it's just this like this like cupboard of an office, and there's like two women in there, and they were just grading, like they were MA students, and they were grading finals. And this one girl, it's like, yeah, it's my first year here. I've been coming to this office just because it's been like a quiet area. Like I didn't even know there was a basketball arena in there until like she's been coming into this like large building.
Just goes into the side door, up the stairs.
Yeah, and so she's coming up there, but then like there's this barricaded entrance up into like section 114, and like you can just hear like sneakers squeaking and like basketball, and it was like, oh, there's a little bit of life down there. And so yeah, it was a really really fun event. I got to chat with Ron Lee for like 30 minutes, just talking, like him pointing out spots on the court where they did just like had memorable moments in like the Kamikaze Kids era. It was a fun time.
I mean, it is one of the toughest part of sports is when like you have this building that actually played a part in the game, right? Matthew Knight Arena is a fine arena. They built it extraordinarily well. All the bells and whistles, everything about. But I don't think you could honestly say, and you covered Oregon basketball a ton in those years, Tyson, I don't think you can honestly say that like Matthew Knight Arena, the arena played a part in a win or loss.
No.
There's been some games with some fun crowds, but you can't ever be like, oh, if not for the way that the building was, if not for the way the crowd was, Oregon probably wouldn't walk away. Like the building played no part in determining the outcome, whereas there are countless games at McArthur Court where the building literally played a part in the outcome of the game. But the juxtaposition of that is it was not a convenient place to watch a basketball game, right? I'm 5'10" on a good day, and my knees, when you sat in the normal seats, would like pinch up against the seat in front of me. I couldn't imagine anybody that was over 6'1". Like you would have to sit like in this weird kind of side saddle way. If somebody spilled a Pepsi in like the 300 level, it would drip down on you. Like it would not stay up there. Like it would drip down on you.
Trickle down concessions.
Yeah, there was a run there, and I want to say 02, 03, where there was a bat. A bat lived up there and would sometimes come down and then they just couldn't get it out of the building. Like, so you can't do that and play like and have like the vision of what Oregon basketball wanted to be, but yet you still kind of lose a little bit of the character. I think about it like I went to Fenway Park. Mm-hmm. Fenway Park was awesome. You know, the street out front and all the fun traditions, and then I was sitting in Fenway Park, and Tyson, you know me, if I'm going to a ball game, I'm gonna have 3 or 4 beers.
Beverage, yeah.
Going to the bathroom was miserable. Mm-hmm. Everyone in the entire row had to stand up. Like I felt bad every time. Like it's not a fun place to watch a baseball game, but it's got so much history and character and all that stuff to where you can't justify saying, oh, this is a bad place to watch a game. McArthur eventually became that.
People talk about McArthur like they talk about current Tiger Woods. It's you're still remembering the memories of what they were, and yet then those same people are like, oh yeah, boy, you know, if he could just get back from this 15th surgery this year, I think you know, if he plays a clean first round, he could win the Masters. Like Tiger's not winning the Masters anymore. Tiger was undeniably better and more interesting than any golfer that we currently have now. Like, and we have perfectly fine golfers now at home. You know, we have Scotty Schefflers and we have all those guys, but you don't want current Tiger as great as those memories are. And like it's the same thing with McArthur. Like you had to evolve eventually, but at the same and again, like Matthew Knight is I guess from like an architectural perspective, like it's a beautiful arena. Like it's got a great footprint. Like it still seems new. Like it doesn't feel dated.
Still has that new arena smell.
Yeah, it still has that. Yeah, but it just
Well, I mean, and I think Ernie Kent was the first to actually kind of bring this up. and Dana Altman is now reaping the benefits of it. McArthur Court is the best when it is full in a big game. Like, that's when it's at its best. That's not when recruits are there.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine bringing in this top 15 basketball player from the south side of Chicago, and they come out to Eugene, and you show them all of the Nike bells and whistles, right? This is Nike University.
And then here's where you get to play.
And this is where you play. And yeah, that's a soda stain from the 300 level that made it all the way down to what is our locker room. Also, you're 6'8". You have to duck because there's some pipes that run across on our way to the court, which is upstairs, by the way. We
don't dive for too many loose balls. You may get a sliver.
Yeah, so it was always tough, like selling it to recruits. Whereas, like, I would say Matthew Knight Arena is now the opposite, right? If you're a kid and you're like, oh, look at all of this state of the art athletic department stuff, and then look at this arena you get to play in, and then they have the highlight for you got a TV, you got the big screen up there, and then you fill it with people, and you're like, all right. Yeah, this is a little underwhelming.
No, it's like Matthew Knight is completely dependent on the quality and kind of reputation of the team that's inside of it.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like when you had Dylan Brooks or Peyton Pritchard, like those teams at their peak, like the crowds were like the crowds responded accordingly. But as you said, like there's not many games where it's the reverse, where the crowd kind of like brings the team up by the bootstraps.
But I do like that they're playing hoops there again. I hope they keep doing it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I don't know.
Okay.
I just feel like because anytime I tweet something about Matt Court, or like we do a podcast, or like we went to this thing and I posted some photos from it, like they went, like Oregon fans interact with that more than almost anything else. Like I feel like Oregon like has to like take advantage, like somehow, like whether it's like a renovation or a restoration or whatever. But like I just feel like that building's got too much name value and kind of like thought to it.
Well, it's interesting that they had these high school games there because when I was growing up, it was my dream. Like my dream from the moment because whenever. My dad was a teacher and a coach at my high school, and so whenever the basketball team made the state tournament, they played at McArthur Court.
Correct.
We got to get out of school and we got to go to the games. It was like that was the best. Whenever the mighty Douglas Trojans had a good enough basketball team to make it to the state tournament, we would get to go. So like that was my dream, right? It was winning the Far West League and going to state and playing at Matt Court, and the crowds were awesome. And then the year I did it, Tyson, they moved it to the Chiles Center, which is a fine place to watch a game. But I never got to play that state tournament game, Matthew Knight Arena. I got to play my state tournament game and beat Ontario, by the way. Suck it, Tigers. At Chiles Center. Just right around the corner here. I drive by it every time I come to do the podcast.
That's a tragedy.
It
was like, I know I've told this story on here before, but it was like the adversity I had to go through of finally landing an Oregonian sports front after they switched to the tabloid format, which no longer fit in the urinal stall holder at our gym, because all I ever wanted to do was to be taking a piss at my gym and reading an Alger story.
Yep.
And then they changed the dimensions of the paper, and instead it's just old Far Side comics now.
It's a tough look. Yeah, it's a tough break.
Yeah.
But the reason I brought that up is, it's probably not at all logistically possible because, like you mentioned, they have offices up there. Don't want to displace the rowing team either, because apparently that was they had the rowers out there. It would be cool to like play the state tournament there.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It would be cool. I don't know if it's possible, but it would be really cool to just like for the week. Hey, we're gonna bring the state tournament back here.
Yeah. What's grinding your gears today, Justin?
Literally grinding my gears. We're going to talk cars here. First off, everybody's safe. Everything is fine. My truck, while parked, for the second time in about 7 months, got hit, and then no one left a note. They just left a dent in my bumper hanging off for me to to find the next morning.
Would you be more upset if there was a note left that just said sorry but didn't have contact information?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. I would 100% be more upset. But
because now at least you have like a mystery. Like
I know. My truck was parked in front of my house. Somebody hit it, then bailed. Got a really good ring cam footage of the car leaving. But again, this ain't CSI. I can't enhance the video. It was dark. There is no license plate for me to grab. So my car is in the shop. And I have a rental car. You know, TVs all kind of work the same.
They do.
Tyson.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have DVD players anymore, but DVD players all kind of worked the same. Why is it we all can't get on the same page and figure out how to connect our phones to the car the same way in every car? Because I can't seem to figure it out in the rental car. Between the way it connects in my truck, the way it connects in my rental car, the way it connects in my wife's much nicer car than mine, everything's just a smidge different. Can we all just get on the same page and just understand that we all have phones that we need to connect to the car, and can we all just connect it the same way, please?
Well, so that's why I'm currently upset that you have a lot of auto manufacturers such as Ford who, the closest to what you're talking about is kind of like Apple CarPlay or like Android Auto, where you plug in and on the screen you basically get like the extended version of your phone, and you can do maps and songs and all those sorts of things. But you're seeing a lot of car dealers now going like, we can sell our own software and we can charge our own subscription service to it, and so they're getting rid of that. So it's only going to get worse, Justin.
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse. And the thing I hate more than anything is you have like 1 second to pair, like if you don't have the cord and you're trying to do it for Bluetooth, you have like 1 second to do that, because as soon as your tires start moving, it's like, whoa,
easy. This is not safe.
Hey, easy there. Evil Knievel. Like, I've never understood like why, because like I've had a passenger who's trying to connect their phone and I'm driving, like, why can't the passenger do it? Like, it should be able to detect like weight in the front seat.
Yeah, it can, by the way, because it does that with the airbags, but not
buckle up.
Yeah,
buckle up.
Definitely knows that with the seatbelts not buckled. If somebody's sitting in the front seat, yeah, it's like look, we all have phones. Those phones all need to be connected to the car. That's non-negotiable. Yeah. Like, how come we all just can't get on the same page and just do it the same way every single time? Instead, I'm sitting in the car, needing to leave, trying to pair my phone.
Is this why you were like 9 minutes late today?
A little bit, yeah.
Which I was concerned, because usually you're a little bit on the early side.
Usually, I most of the time am on the early side.
You didn't even bring your coffee.
That's a whole nother thing, that me and the car and the phone. So like this was an hour and a half ago, grinding my gears, because I had a whole nother thing about the rental car. Now I know, because people are gonna throw this in the comments. Justin, there's a little arrow on the fuel tank thing. I know that. That being said,
fuel tank's a muscle memory thing.
Why can't we have it on the same side? We have the steering wheel on the same side, right? We drive on the same side of the car. Why is the gas tank not on the same side of every car?
Do you know what I
why?
Do you know what I recently realized? When you put on a shirt, the tag is always on the left side.
There we go.
It always is. Like, if you can do it on a shirt, why can't you do it on a car?
Why can't we do it on a car? Because, again, we have, like, you go to Costco and they have, like, the massive fuel centers. Or you go to the little, neighborhood gas station. It's always a shit show, because somebody had, like, if we all just had it on the left side and then we would all drive one way and then drive the other, but instead then you drive in and then but now you're nose to nose, right? And that's awkward. So and then you're done first, but they're not done yet. And
no, you go.
They went into the convenience store, right? They're grabbing corn nuts and a diet Pepsi, and like, you can't get out. Like, what? All because somebody somewhere decided, you know what? Where are we putting the gas tank on this one? Flip a coin. Right side. How about this one? Left side. Why? Why can't we, like, of all the things that should be universal. It should be, we put the gas tank on either the left or the right. I don't care which way. But the fact that it's both is absurd.
I think I've only ever owned a left side.
Really?
Yeah, I've been a lefty.
I've unfortunately had both.
Yeah.
There was a time where my wife and I both had Nissans.
Mm-hmm.
One right, one right, one left.
See that, like, get out of town. Like I need at least like brand stability.
There seems no rhyme nor reason to the gas, and so now you'll understand. You get the rental car, and then you got to go and get gas because you got to bring it back with gas, but they don't give it to you with gas.
Do you?
What happens to all that gas? By the way, like every time I've brought a rental car back, full tank.
Yeah.
Every time I've gotten a rental car,
3/4 of a tank.
Or half. Oh. Like, where's all that gas going? Are they like Ferris Buellering it?
When you go to a gas station, do you respect the arrows of like? They'll have like basically the traffic direction of like essentially like left tankers go through here. Do you ever like flip around because there's a left tank open, but if you go the other direction, you can get like. Essentially, do you follow the traffic flow in a gas station, or do you just like free for all it depending on?
If I am
will you go tip to tip with somebody?
I will. Okay. I will go if I am at
bumper to bumper.
If I'm at Costco, right? There's no they've set it up. There is but one way at Costco. Now you can flip it the big long hose,
right,
and flip it all around. But there shall be no coming in opposite. There is a gas station a block and a half from my house, and it's just one, right? It's 3 pumps and 2 lanes. I'll go whatever's open.
Yeah.
I'll back in if I have to. I'll go back to back if need be. But again, this would all be alleviated if we just put all the gas tanks
on the same side.
On the same side, then you don't even need to. There's no need for arrows. Everybody's going to be go in the same direction. What are we doing here? That's what's grinding my gears.
Talk to you guys next week. I don't see anything.
Nope. I have nothing else.